Hello everyone, so welcome back. So in this video we'll discuss about uh, for loop, okay? For loop, then variables and the parameters, and even we'll see like how to debug, how to run the project in the debug mode. So in our project right now you can see like we have one data flow task, right? So inside the data flow task, we have a one control flow task. So in one control flow task we have data flow, and in the data flow we have all these steps, right? So in data flow, so we do ETL activities, while in control flow we do non-ETL activities, right? So here, so for loop is basically a non-ETL activity, and it has to be done in the control flow. So why for loop? Okay, so right now, so we are just loading one file, right? So in production, assume like you have thousands or thousands of files in a folder. Okay, so if you want to load all these files, of course you can't keep on writing the separate data flow task for the load each file, right? Of course you will be using a loop here, right? So here we'll be using a for loop which will loop all these files inside this folder. Okay, so to do that, so as I told you, so for loop is basically non-ETL activity. So whatever the ETL activity will be doing in the data flow, but if you want to perform some of the non-ETL activities, like these are some of the non-ETL activities under the control flow, right? Like we have a bulk insert task, we have something called expression task, file system task, FTP task. Okay, similarly, so we have something called for loop container, which we have two types of container here. Okay, so we have something called for loop container, and we have something called for each loop container. So I'll just explain briefly when you need to use this for loop container and when I need to use this for each container. So a for loop container loops till a fixed count. Okay, for example, if you want to loop for the fixed number of times, okay, less than 10 or equal to 10 or greater than, or like with a specific number, so I'll be going with the for loop container. So for each loop, okay, it loops items like records, files. Okay, it will keep on looping until it has passed on to all the folders, all the files inside the folders, wherever we have set the path, right? So this is what the for each. So in our use case, okay, so we have a folder, okay, so called MSB data files. Inside this I have these two files where I need to loop this customer one. Okay, so you can see this is what the customer one we have, and this is what the customer two with the same data. Okay, so with the different data points. Fine, so let's try to do this. So as I told you, so we need a for each, right? So I'll just drag this. So this is the data flow, right? So where we have a flat file source, from where right now it's pointing to the one file, right? So we'll set all those things. Okay, so now I'll first let's set this. So I'll just drag this for each loop container. So inside the for each loop container, so what I need to loop, so I need to loop this data flow task. Okay, you're getting my point? So I need to loop this data flow task. What this data flow is doing, so data flow is just getting that file, it is doing some data conversion, and is by finally loading to the destination. So our destination is SQL server, right? Database, right? So now so when I go to the data flow, so here you can see like we have all this hard coded, right? So when I see the connection managers here, whatever I just set, so if I just try to, so you have here connection manager like loading the flat file. Okay, so if I just try to open this, okay, so here we have just giving a path directly to the file, right? So now because I'm just looping here, so I need to set, okay, so a path, okay, so that it will automatically take the files, right? For example, now it's taking customer one, so next it has to take the customer two, and so on, like customer three, customer four. So of course I can't hard code here, right? So to design that, okay, so what we need to do is we need to create a variable. Okay, so with help of variable, okay, we can just set a file path. So how to do that? So this step is done. So you can just right click here and click on to this, or else like first we'll set the variable. So what I'll do, I'll just on the white space just right click. Okay, so here we have something called variables. So here, so here we have different options like add variable, we have a move variables, we have delete variables. So let's try to add a new variable. So I'll give a variable name. So I'll give a variable name. So variable name is basically full file path, and the data type I'll just create as a string for this variable. Okay, so now I need to set what? I need to set a value, right? So I need to set a value to this particular variable. So how I can just set, so you can just come here. I'll just copy this path, okay, and I'll just set the so I have created full path of string type. So I'll not set the value here. Okay. So I've just created a variable here. Okay. So yeah, so just create a variable here of the string data type, and this is the full path. Okay. So what I'll do, so to add a path, okay, to add a value to it. So what I'll do, I'll just right click. So I'll click on the edit. So here under the general, under the collection, so we need to we have enumerator. Um, Collection, fine, I need to set it, I guess. Fine, I'll just paste it here, and let's do control S. Fine. So now, so I've just created a variable. Okay, so where the variable is of the string data type, and have set the value to this particular variable. Okay, so now if I just go to the for loop, okay, because this component will loop the each files, right? So I need to set the path. Okay, so what I'll just go here and click on this edit. So if you click on to this edit, if I just go to the collection, so for each file enumerator, okay, here I need to set the path, I guess. Okay, fine. So here I don't need to set the path. Okay, I'll just remove here. Okay, so because I'll just explain here, so I'll just take the whiteboard. So what I told you, so if I just take, so this is the entire SSIS. Okay, and so here we have ETL, right? And here we have a for loop. So what is the ETL? So it, of course, it includes all the steps, okay, whatever we added in the data flow, right? So here it has what? ETL. And here for loop, right? So this is the entire SSIS, right? So we have ETL, so where we have just given the data flow, right? So now, so this okay, so I need to, because here I have just hard coded, right? So when I'm doing the extraction, okay, when I'm doing the extraction of the file, so here I've just given a file path, right? So default file path. So now instead of giving the default file path, because when I'm doing a for loop, of course you can't go here and every time, because here we have just set the default file path. Okay, I need to remove the default file path, because so here I'm just performing the for loop, right? So inside the data flow, Okay, so I've added a for loops. Inside the data for loop, I have this ETL process, right? So where it has to loop the different file each time. So of course, when it's going for the connection manager, we have given a default value for that. So how we can just set a path to a file, so with help of something called variable, right? So this is what we have created. So I've created a variable here. So what is a variable? So variable is a full path and the of a data type, right? So now what I'll do, I'm just setting that path. So how I'll set the path? So I'll just go here, I click on to this edit. So in the collection, so here for example, like I need to do a for each for the file, right? It's not item, so I'll just select the file. I need to set the folder name. So how will you set the folder name? I'll just come over here. This is what the entire folder, so I'll just copy over here. So I'll just come and I'll just set the folder, fine, and the file is of type .txt, fine, and it's fully qualified. Okay, so like here we have a different option how we can just retrieve the file name, right? So name and extension of fully qualified name only. So here star.txt file, right? So I'll just click on to this yeah, so before clicking on to this, so I'll just click OK here. So here we have variable mapping. So inside the variable mapping, you need to so we have this user full path, and this we are just selecting a variable to map the collection value. Okay, so you need to set this. Okay, so what is the variable? It's a fully file path, right? So I click OK because we right now we are configuring under the for each loop. So here also you can just set the value, but I'm not setting the value here. First step is I've just created a variable called full file path of its data type. Then I've just come to the for each loop. I've just gone to the edit. So here I'm just telling that I need to for loop the file, right? And I'm just selecting the folder. After selecting the folder, I'm just giving the files extension, that is .txt, and I'm just mapping the variable. What is the variable now? Full path, right? This is what the full path. I'm just passing. I'll click on as OK. So this part is done. So now I'll just go to the control data flow. So if I'll do just control S. Okay. So now if I just go to the data flow, so here I've just so you can see, so I have just set the connection manager like loading the flat file, right? So I'll just click on to this loading the flat file connection manager. I'll just go to the properties. If I just go to the properties over here, and if I just scroll down, and here under the properties we have something called connection string. You can see like right now the connection string is pointing to that particular file, right? So this is what the connection string to load the flat file source. So instead of this, what we can do, so we have something called expressions. Okay, so if I just right click onto the expression, so I can just set a property. So what is a property? So property I'm just selecting as full name, local protection, connection string. I'll set the connection string to this file path. I'll just repeat the once again. So what I'm doing, so I'm just right clicking onto this. I've just selected the property. This is the property of this connection manager. So if we just see here, so now the connection string is set to this default path, right? So hard coded file path. So instead of this, I'll just give expression. So what is the expression? So property I need to select, that is the connection string. So what is the expression I'm just setting? So if I try to expand here, so we have this full file path, right? So this is what the expression is. So I'll just click onto this. Okay, so here also okay. Okay, so now I'm just pointing to this flat file. So right now this connection manager is pointing to this folder. Okay, so where it will loop each time. Okay, and will load the data. Fine, so this is what it has to do. So let's try to do this. So before running into this, what we'll do is I'll just come here. So let's see like what are the data we have. Okay, so let's delete this. Okay, so now let's try to run. So this should work. I should not get any errors. Fine, so let's go and run. Yeah, so everything got executed. Okay, so if I just go and so because I have data, right? So if I just check, I have the customer one and customer two. So it is to add up, it will add up to I think like 14 to 15 data points. So if I just go to the this and run the query here, so you can see, so I have the 10 data points. I have the file, I have the data from both the files, right? If I just try to open and show you, so the customer one, so customer one, and we have a customer two. So this is what the customer two, right? So we have Pradeep, we have Sukesh, we have Ranjesh, we have Raju. Um, Raju, we don't have Raju because I have just added here test. If you remember, like in the data flow, we have configured whenever I'm just receiving a customer amount of any other data type, it will move to the different folder, right? So which folder? If I just come here, if I just go to the downloads, error amount, right? It's not error amount. I think it's error string. Yeah, you can see like Raju is over here, right? Yeah, I got that. Raju, so Jagdesh, I got Jagdesh, fine. So now I need to check for the one. So here I have Shiv, I have Ajay, I don't have Raju because this is has been moved to there, right? Then Ajay, I have Ajay, fine, fine. Okay, so I have all the data, and so this is how basically um, it has been loaded, fine. So this is working fine. So if I just try to stop this,